Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Katie and this is my faith-based YouTube account where we talk all things Bible, Jesus, Christian, mummy life. I don't know, who knows where this channel is going to take us. But right now I'm doing a video on 5 ways that you can get closer to God. So I'm just going to jump straight into it and I'm going to tell you the things that I personally do that help me get closer to God and hopefully they'll help you too. So let's see. So the first thing is the most obvious thing, but it is to read your Bible. Now, my favourite version of the Bible is the New Living Translation. I have the Illustrated Study Bible. Ignore the fact that the cover has fallen off, please. I have well loved this Bible and it is literally dropping to bits, but never mind. I just washi tape it and make it all stick back together. But I personally like the New Living Translation. I find it the easiest to understand, and when I'm doing a Bible study I then look up different translations including the King James just so I'm getting a more accurate reading. Not that this Bible isn't accurate, it's just not as close to the original text as the King James version is. Hope that makes sense. So when you come to read your Bible, what you need to do first of all is pray. So make sure that you're praying to God that he will help you to understand what you're about to read. And do not do what I did for years and think, I've got to read my Bible and just whiz through it and then tick it off your list and be like, yep, job done, I've read my Bible. That is not helpful to you at all. It is not going to help you grow closer to God because you're not taking in what you're reading. You need to be sitting down, and whether it's even only one verse, one little tiny verse, as long as you read that and take it in, basically your Bible reading is supposed to change you and make you more like Christ. So if you're just reading the Bible and it's not affecting your day-to-day life at all, then you're not reading it properly. Okay? You need to be reading it and your life needs to be changing because of what you're reading. It's like this, like a cycle. So, I have been reading this book lately. I took a recommendation from this from Coffee and Bible Time. Go check out their channel. They are amazing when it comes to all things Bible study. But this has been really helpful so far. I'm only up to chapter 5, but it's telling me how I can study the Bible better. So it talks about all the things you should be doing, observing. When you're reading your Bible, you need to think about the context at the time. Who was the author talking to at the time? That then helps you put into perspective the message of that book, of that particular book. So if you get a Bible like this one, the Illustrated Study Bible, or basically any study Bible, at the beginning of each book, it gives you a little bit of background information, a little bit of context, which then helps you understand what you're reading better. So for example, let's go to, I don't know, let's go to one of Paul's. We'll go to one of Paul's epistles. Epistle just means a letter that he wrote. So I'm going to go to Philippians, okay? So this is the book of Philippians, and it tells you the setting of the time when it was written. So Philippi was important because of its strategic position on the east-west Roman route through Macedonia. Okay, so I already know that Philippi was quite an important town because it was a route from the east to the west of Macedonia for the Romans. Okay, so it was very important in that time. And it also tells me that from the beginning there was opposition to Paul's preaching in Philippi. During his brief stay there, he was thrown into prison and then he was asked to leave town, but not before a new group of believers had been established. And then it tells me that Paul wrote this letter to the Philippians while he was in prison. So now when I'm reading this, I can get the full context of Paul's in prison, he's writing a letter to these new believers that he's quickly spoken to, hasn't had a lot of time with them, it says it was brief, and then he was thrown into prison. So I can picture him in prison, it's dark, it's smelly, it's probably cold and wet and gross, there's probably rats running around, but he is writing this letter to the Philippians out of love to them to help them in their new faith. So that gives me a whole new perspective before I even start the book. So it's really important that you get that kind of background, and then when you go to read it, you can take more from the text because you've got that actual context and you know he's talking to new believers. And the other good thing about these Bibles is it even gives you background on the actual town itself. It has lots of pages like this which just give you even more information. So you're not just reading the Bible blindly and thinking, what is this information? What am I supposed to do with it? You can apply it to the people at the time and then take from that what Paul was telling them. So a passage that I've highlighted from Philippians is Philippians 1 verse 27, and he was talking to the Philippians at the time, but I can then apply this to my life, which it says, above all, you must live as citizens of heaven, conducting yourselves in a manner worthy of the good news about Christ. So that hit home with me because, well, I've even written it on the top here, I don't know if you can see. I've written up here, I am a citizen of heaven, so I should live like that. I shouldn't be living like I'm of this world. I'm not. I've been saved by Jesus and I am now a citizen of heaven. I'm one of his daughters and I should be living like that and representing Christ on the earth. So hopefully that helped. The second thing that I do to grow closer to God, of course, is pray. How are you supposed to have a relationship with someone if you don't talk to them? And I struggled with this for a while. I used to always be able to pray if I wanted something, or to say thank you, or to ask for forgiveness, but I struggled to develop that relationship with God. It was very much a, this is what I want, thank you for that, please forgive me for doing that kind of relationship. And I wanted to have that father-daughter relationship instead. So I really reflected on that and I created a prayer journal. So I will link a video that I've recorded to this prayer journal if you want to have a look inside, up here or up here. I'm not sure how this YouTube thing works, but up here somewhere. And I'll also link it down below in the description box in case you want to finish this video and then watch it. But I've got a video detailing this. But I created a prayer journal where I have different prayers for different days, and it just helped me so much with more focused prayer. And then I realised that I can talk to God all day, every day, and I just tell him everything that I'm doing and grow in that relationship with him. And another important part of my prayer life is that it's really important as well to rest and listen to God and not just talk at him, but then take that time to have some quiet time and to just sit and listen to what God has to say to you. And I have a section in my prayer journal for resting and listening, and I just write in here anything that I feel like God has said to me, whether that be through listening to a podcast or an audio book, whether that just be sitting with my eyes closed on the couch with a cup of tea and just listening to God, listening to worship music, whatever it might be. God does talk to us, but you've got to listen to hear him. God might be throwing something in your face and you do not realise because you're so busy. So it's just taking that time out to slow down and just to be with God. But prayer is just such an important part of growing closer to God. Obviously, you need to be in a relationship with him to grow closer to him. If you think about your relationship with a close loved one, if you never spoke to them, or you only spoke to them when you wanted something or you were sorry for something, what kind of relationship would that be? You tell the people that you love all about your life and you listen to them. So you need to make sure that you've got that two-way conversation going at all times so that you grow closer to God. So the third thing that has helped me grow closer to God is just doing more reading. So not only reading my Bible, but also reading Christian books. I've got a lot of Tozer books. This one was really good as well. Just reading Christian books, listening to sermons on YouTube, listening to Christian podcasts, all those different things just help me grow closer to God because I'm learning constantly from different Christians, all new perspectives and things that I might not have ever discovered by myself. So I highly recommend that. I'll put a list down below of all the podcasts that I'm currently enjoying because there is some really good ones. And I struggled for years to find good podcasts, Christian ones, but now I feel like I've got some good ones under the belt. So I'll put them down below. The fourth thing that helped me grow closer to God was worshipping him. And oh my goodness, this totally changed my relationship with God, totally. And it's important that you don't just use modern day worship songs because while yes, they're good, you can dance to them and you feel good after them. I read somewhere, I can't remember where, but it said if you read the lyrics of a worship song and it moves you just as much as it does when the music is playing, that's a good worship song. But if you read the lyrics and it does nothing to your heart or your soul, stop listening to that worship song because that's not true worship. Worship should be something that brings you closer to God and in absolute knee-dropping awe and wonder and astonishment and passion and overwhelming love when you truly are worshipping. Tears start streaming down your face. You start realizing how amazing God is and how small we are in comparison, and it overwhelms you, and that is true worship. And if you can get to that level of worship, whoo, you are close to God. Trust me, you feel so close to God. It is unbelievable. It just sets you up for the day so much better if you have been able to spend some time really getting close to God and worshiping him. That is why we are here, to worship God. He wants us to worship him, so go for it, and you will grow closer to God so much quicker. But for your worship to be accepted by God, you need to be clean. You need to ask for forgiveness beforehand. You can't slander someone, lie, call people names, and then worship God with that same mouth. And the amazing thing about worship is God is everywhere, so you can worship him anywhere. Don't think that you need to be at church to worship God. You will see a difference. And to finish this video, I just want to say, do what works best for you. This is your relationship with God, not mine, not Sheila's, not Karen's. It's your relationship with God. Do what works best for you to grow closer to him. And yes, it is a sacrifice of your time, but it's time well spent, because it makes you more like Christ. And at the end of the day, isn't that all of our goal, to be better Christians? I used to get so hung up on, this is what I've got to do. I've got to tick these things off my list. I've got to read my Bible, do my devotion, worship God, pray. And I would literally sit with a tick list and tick those things off. It didn't work for me. I was rushing through the list just to get them ticked off. And then I would feel better in myself and think, oh, yay me, I did everything that I wanted to do on my list. But I wasn't getting any closer to God, because I was quickly reading through the Bible. I was saying a very quick prayer. I was singing a worship song. It wasn't working. So slow down, figure out what works best for you, and go with that. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. God bless. I'll see you next time. Bye.